You can tell when a Harley-Davidson Shovelhead is nearby. The sound isn't just noise, it's mechanical thunder. It leaks, it shakes, and it's older than some of the riders still trying to kickstart it. And yet, the same question echoes through garages and biker bars everywhere. Is the Shovelhead still reliable? That's a tricky one, because asking if a Shovelhead is reliable is like asking if a bulldog is obedient. It depends on how well you train it. The Shovelhead's reputation swings wildly between bulletproof and unpredictable. But behind the oil stains, jokes, and stubborn bolts lies one of the most enduring engines Harley ever built. To outsiders, it's just an old motor with quirks. But to the people who ride them, fix them, and swear by them, the Shovelhead isn't a relic. It's a living, breathing piece of American grit. So let's take a ride through what makes this 1966 to 1984 classic both feared and beloved, and why, even after all these years, it still fires up hearts and occasionally refuses to fire up at all. The Harley-Davidson Shovelhead roared onto the scene in 1966, replacing the Panhead and ushering in a new era for American motorcycling. It was built to be stronger, faster, and more highway-ready than anything Harley had made before. Riders wanted torque. Harley delivered, 74 cubic inches of it, or roughly 1,208 cc, complete with redesigned heads, improved oil flow, and about 10 more horsepower than the Panhead. The name Shovelhead came from its rocker covers, which vaguely resembled upside-down coal shovels. Whether that was clever branding or just a factory nickname that stuck, it fit the engine's rugged charm perfectly. The Shovelhead looked mean and sounded even meaner, that deep, uneven lop-lop-lop idle that could shake a storefront window. When turned right, it pulled like a freight train and felt just as unstoppable. In those early years, Harley was still privately owned. The build quality reflected that. The early shovels, especially the 1966 to 1969 FLH Electric Glide models, were hand-assembled with care and pride. They weren't flawless, but they were dependable in that classic Harley way. A little rough around the edges, a little oily on the driveway, but loyal to the core. The Shovelhead arrived during a golden age of American freedom. Route 66, long highways, cheap gas, and a booming love for the open road. But just as Harley found its stride, 1969 came, and with it, AMF. That one corporate move would change Harley's history forever. Now, if you think that's just another old Harley story, stick around. The Shovelhead's real test hasn't even begun. Hit subscribe and keep riding with us, because the next chapter is where this engine earns its legend and its scars. When AMF, American Machine and Foundry, bought Harley-Davidson in 1969, it wasn't out of love for motorcycles. It was business. AMF wanted efficiency, mass production, and profit, not craftsmanship. Harley's old-school assembly line suddenly turned into fast-paced factories. Build quality? Well, that became optional. The results were mixed, very mixed. Some Shovelheads ran beautifully for decades, while others shook, leaked, or snapped parts before their owners made it home from the dealership. Riders started joking that AMF stood for Ain't My Fault, or Assholes Made Fenders. But here's the truth. The design of the Shovelhead was never the problem. It had strong crankcases, durable heads, and that legendary torque curve. What hurt its image was the inconsistency. You could roll the dice at a Harley dealer and either get a lifelong partner or a full-time headache. Those who got lucky had a bike that would roar across the country with little more than oil and attention. Those who didn't learned patience and how to rebuild a top end on the side of the highway. But even the bad shovels had something special. They turned their owners into mechanics, teachers, and storytellers. Owning one meant learning to listen, not to music, but to mechanical rhythm. You learned the click that meant tighten this, the clunk that said not today, and the silence that told you trouble was brewing. That's when the Shovelhead stopped being just a machine and started being a rite of passage. By the mid-1970s, every Harley rider knew the truth. The Shovelhead wasn't unreliable, it was demanding. It didn't want perfection, it wanted attention. You couldn't treat it like a car. You couldn't skip maintenance. You had to know its moods. The Shovelhead wanted clean oil, correct timing, and steady valve adjustment. Miss one of those and it would make you pay, maybe with an oil puddle, maybe with a backfire that could scare the paint off a gas pump. Back then, every Harley came with a toolkit and a sense of adventure. Riders carried spark plugs, tools, and a small bottle of oil like survival gear. It wasn't paranoia, it was preparation. And strangely, that made the bike more reliable, because every rider was part of its maintenance system. Modern bikers call that high maintenance, old riders call it bonding. You didn't just ride a shovel, you communed with it. You learned its rhythm, the slight clatter when it was happy, the hiccup that meant it was running lean, the smell of warm oil that told you it was alive. Sure, it leaked. Sure, it vibrated like a washing machine filled with wrenches, but that's part of its charm. Reliability in the Shovelhead world wasn't about being problem-free, it was about being fixable. And that's where its legend really begins. The Shovelhead's issues were never mysterious. They were mechanical, predictable, and mostly preventable. The most common complaint was oil leaks. The old paper gaskets and primitive oiling system were notorious for marking territory. Swap those out with modern Viton seals and a high-volume oil pump, and your shovel can run nearly as dry as a modern Harley. Electrical problems? The old mechanical regulators and wiring harnesses were fragile. Riders today solve that instantly with solid-state upgrades. Weak spark? Install electronic ignition. Overheating? Better oil and updated pistons handle that easily. The truth is, every problem a shovel ever had has a solution now. Once upgraded, it becomes shockingly dependable. The crankcases are overbuilt, the transmission's nearly indestructible, and the push rods are easy to service roadside. When something breaks, you can fix it with tools from a pickup, not software from a laptop. And that's the secret. You can fix it. You can't say that about many new bikes. By the early 1980s, independent mechanics and custom builders had turned the shovel into something Harley never quite managed, a perfect machine. They found the right bearing tolerances, balanced flywheels, better valve seats, and carburetors that actually stayed tuned. A rebuilt Shovelhead with those improvements doesn't just survive, it thrives. You'll find them in California traffic, Australian deserts, and Canadian winters. They start, they idle, they roar, and they go. It's not luck, that's evolution. Here's where the story turns poetic. With today's technology, the Shovelhead is aged in reverse. Modern metallurgy and machining have solved the problems that haunted it in the 70s. You can now build a brand new Shovelhead, stronger, cleaner, and more efficient than it ever was. Every single part's available. Cases, heads, bolts, even full reproduction engines. Companies like S&S and RevTech build shovel-style motors that start first try, run cool, and barely leak a drop. It's the same soul, but without the drama. A freshly rebuilt shovel with electronic ignition and a proper oiling system can easily go 50,000 miles before needing major service. With care, they'll outlast their owners. The best part? They're still simple. No diagnostic ports, no ECU fault codes, just gears, valves, and that signature heartbeat. It's no longer the unpredictable outlaw engine of the AMF days. It's a dependable classic, a living reminder that good design never truly dies. You can daily one, tour with one, even trust it to cross the country, and many do. Because with the right hands and the right heart, the Shovelhead isn't fragile anymore, it's timeless. Reliability isn't just about running without failure, it's about trust. And that's where the Shovelhead's magic lies. It's not just reliable mechanically, it's reliable emotionally. When you fire one up, you don't just hear it, you feel it. The handlebars quiver, the mirrors blur, and the air fills with that deep rhythmic pulse that no other engine can imitate. It's not a sound, it's a heartbeat. Modern Harleys purr smoothly. The Shovelhead doesn't purr, it growls, coughs, and laughs at you. It demands interaction. You're part of the experience. That's why riders who own one rarely sell it. It's not convenience they're after, it's connection. They like the ritual of warming it up, the smell of oil, the occasional roadside tune-up. It gives the bike a soul. As one rider put it, my shovel's got two moods, bad and beautiful, but at least it never lies. Working on a shovel is therapy. You don't need a laptop, you need a Saturday afternoon and a beer. You listen, you adjust, and when it finally roars to life again, it feels like victory. That's reliability. Not the kinds you measure in warranty miles, but the kinds you measure in bond. So, is the Harley-Davidson Shovelhead still reliable? That depends entirely on what reliability means to you. If you want an engine that never needs a wrench, look elsewhere. If you want something quiet, polite, and predictable, there are plenty of bikes that will never talk back. But if you want a machine that will never abandon you, as long as you don't abandon it, then yes, the Shovelhead's absolutely reliable. Modern rebuilds have erased its old sins. With upgraded oiling, electronic ignition, and precision machined parts, Shovelhead's stronger now than it's ever been. It's a 60-year-old design that somehow refuses to feel old. Treated right, it'll outlive its owner and still sound like thunder doing it. But what makes it special isn't just the hardware, it's the relationship. The Shovelhead represents a different kind of reliability. one rooted in connection. It reminds us that motorcycles weren't always about convenience, they were about commitment. You didn't press a button, you earned every mile. You didn't just ride, you participated. Maybe that's why it's still loved, because while the world went digital, Shovelhead stayed human. It's mechanical poetry, pistons and patience, torque and trust, and an engine that doesn't just run, it feels. So yes, the Harley-Davidson Shovelhead is still reliable, but it's not easy. It's not quiet, it's not polite. It's everything a real machine should be: honest, demanding, and alive. And in the end, that's the kind of reliability worth keeping. The kind you don't measure in miles, but in the bond between man, metal, and the open road. If you've ever kicked over a Shovelhead, you already know it's more than an engine. It's an attitude. It'll leak a little, complain a lot, but somehow it always gets you home. In a world full of plug-in motorcycles and touch screens, the Shovelhead stands for something rare: raw, mechanical honesty. So hit that subscribe button, drop a comment with your shovel story, and share this with someone who still smells like 68 oil and freedom. Because some engines fade into history, but the Shovelhead, it rumbles right through it.